but exciting and a great way to start off our day.
Oh, such an exciting one. I think, you know, you kind of want to say, well, TL, why don't you just do the same thing? But that's where this preparation for this stacked day comes into play. Stakes one more. Yamato and VODs, as said again, all the games are played today. If you're TL and you can get this win, all of a sudden, everything looks different. If you're G2, all of a sudden, everything looks different as well, and much, much worse for you, especially if you want to get that first seed. It cannot be understated how important this game is.
Yep, it certainly is. And the ultimate question comes down to this early game. Will TL be able to replicate a strong early game against G2? Because if they can, that is their pathway to victory. I think it's going to be difficult, but let's see if they can do it.
Oof, what a fantastic game. With that, let's send it over to our friends in Seoul, Atlas and LS for Game 1, TL versus G2.
Hello and welcome to our Korean caster desk here for Worlds 2020. Thank you so much, Shocks. I'm Atlas, joined by LS, as per usual, the Lizard specialist himself, here to save G2 from Renekton picks here for our first match of the day.
Renekton is allowed here today because TSM, that black hole, it's not here. All right, to break the Renekton curse. So Lizard supremacy probably going to be happening. We do have Suning, Machi also playing later on today. Could get quite a lot of Renekton picks.
I have a feeling that there might be more on the horizon. That is indeed true. However, this is TL's one match that they managed to win.
True.
And I wasn't actually able to hear the predictions at the end because, of course, there is slight delays, things like that here moving over to Korea. So that is a mystery to me. Does that mean that we have to treat TL as the favorite moving into this match? Because I have a feeling both of our predictions probably don't state that.
So I feel like from watching the last G2 game, TL got a lot of advantages throughout the game, and I felt like G2 had a really, really, really rough team composition that just didn't make a whole lot of sense. And despite that, G2 still pushed back several times over, even against Seoul, and made the game look a lot closer than I think that it should have been. And so I'm imagining here today, if there's not any sort of catastrophes happening inside of the game, G2 is probably going to take this comfortably.
Yeah, it didn't necessarily look like a game that TL handedly beat, right? That they were the best team on the day by far or anything like that. I had a feeling that G2 were playing a little bit fast and loose, as they sometimes do here on the world stage. I don't want to take anything away from Team Liquid, though. I thought Broxah had a standout performance in that match that they were able to win. And this year, North America are a slow starter. So let's see what we're going to be able to do as we move into the second round robin of this group. Into champion select already here is Camille and Lucian to be banned away. Lucian warranting some bans. That dude does not lose very much on Summoner's Rift, as Ornn and Graves are going to leave. So G2 are doing away with their let's just ban out all of Impact's champions, and they're going to mix things up just a little bit.
Yep, and we'll see what the final bans are going to be. It's going to be the Twisted Fate for TL.
Yep, similar to what they were banning away last time around, despite the side switch. Lilia to be taken away from Broxah here, so definitely a different look as far as the ban phase is concerned for G2. As let's see whether some of your wizardry is going to come through here for our first pick of the day. Impact thinking about what he wants to go towards. His Shen is available. Something worth mentioning, something we're not very used to over here in Korea.
Yep.
But we're used to this one. The set first pick is going to be locked in. The master of flexibility. Flexing absolutely everywhere. Going to open up the draft here.
Extremely flexible despite his muscles.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, he's got a bulky physique for such a flexible man. Doesn't seem like a contortionist, but that's okay. Wondering Yankos now, wondering what they're going to be picking up, and it could be the kitty cat and the croc. They could go towards it, but Electric Bear going to be locked in. And that is going to be a slight difference. Certainly more flexibility, although only between jungle and top lane, as far as we know.
The Freylord comp coming in now with the Ashe locked in.
I love it. We're a Braum away from like the absolute dream for our first three picks.
Sejuani too, why not?
Oh, let's do it. I mean, it's Yankos. It could happen.
And the thing about G2 in this game in particular, so in the initial encounter versus Team Liquid, their team composition had a lot of responsibility. There was a lot of onus on it in order to try to do things. And when you fall behind early with a team composition like that, it's generally pretty hard to play. So I'm curious here today if they're going to end up with a draft that has significantly less responsibility And thus, TL is going to be the one that have to make all the plays and all the action happen. And the Kalista pick is very interesting here because it's running into an Ashe.
Yeah, that's we've actually seen this over in the LCK, and I always get baffled by it. I feel like Kalista is the most handedly controlled by a champion like Ashe, who can just press a W, and that's going to slow down her attack speed. That doesn't necessarily always happen with that particular ability. That's okay. This is forming TL's composition into something very powerful in the mid game. Going to have a lot of pick opportunity with the Scat of the Week, and of course the Fate's Call to come through there, and also increases the amount of flexibility that Set has in this composition, making support Set the most likely, but he can still go elsewhere on the map, as Caps is going to be locking in the Echo into the mid lane. Of course, one of those inner vacuum counters to the Syndra.
And now we are at the jungle bans coming away again. Lee Song gonna be removed from the table, as well as Nidalee.
That's 4 jungle bans so far.
Yeah.
Theoretically, we already have 2 junglers locked in, 1 per team. That those could be options, but Set and Volibear, they're sort of part of your Olaf collection that you like to talk about towards the end of the summer season of the LCK LS. If you guys aren't LCK viewers, it just means that they're basically clones of one another. They do very similar things if they are going to be in the jungle. Speaking of jungles, another one to be taken away is Kindred off the board. And one more jungler. Come on, TL, what is it going to be? As, look, we're digging right into the dregs of the jungle champion pool, and it's getting more and more likely that this Volibear and Set are going to be heading that way. Of course, Echo also another jungler, so theoretically 2 of them on the side of G2, and Aurelia to be taken away here.
And I feel like the Aurelia is more signifying that they perceive the Echo to go into the jungle, with the Volibear headed top lane for Wonder. And so that is very interesting, and there's Ashe Tom Kench. Now, historically, Ashe Tom Kench was the bot lane duo that you would pick to neutralize Kalista Thresh, and they just can't do anything.
Yep.
And so all of Kalista's pairings down in bottom that are traditionally found with her sort of just can't move Ashe and Tom Kench, and that's what ends up happening. And so this is why the Kalista pick was so interesting, because now you're going to have to choose a off-theme Kalista pick if you're going to try to get a leg up over it down in bottom lane. Now, Lulu's coming in. We've seen her appear in top lane a lot. I'm completely unfamiliar with Lulu versus Volibear, if that's even a thing.
It doesn't seem good for the Volibear. That's what I would say. But Lulu Hecarim, a fantastic combination of champions. Hecarim, the last remaining jungler, really, that is in a tier towards the top. And that is going to be going into Brox's hands. He's going to be helicoptering around the rift on that one, as Sion being considered. Now, the really interesting thing about G2's comp is this last pick could be a whole bunch of different things apart from the bottom lane. As Silas being considered at the moment, we were hovering a whole bunch of different things. There's a Teemo, so we have, okay, it is going to be the Silas, and we still don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah. This is... There's a lot of flex on the top side.
We got 3 junglers up top. We got 3 top laners. We've theoretically got 2 mid laners. I haven't seen Volibear there yet, but I wouldn't put it past G2. So we're going to have to wait until this ticks down a little bit before we really lock in exactly what we're going to see. But I love flexibility in a draft. I think that's why you take red side and what you use it for. G2 has done a great job in that department. However, looking on the side of TL, I love this composition as it comes together, right? In order to make sure that Tactical has the best mid-game possible. As soon as you get an Ardent Sensor on that Lulu, this Kalista is going to be popping off completely and does have a lot of protection from the rest of her team. And Jensen also has a lot of agency to carry himself. So this is a dangerous composition moving into mid-game, and we'll see how G2 is going to handle it.
Yeah, and we'll see what TL is going to be able to manage to do here and how they're going to try to get ahead and get their advantages going here in the early stages of the game. Because of the dynamic of mid lane and bot lane, unless we see some Hail of Blade shenanigans and Echo getting some really insane trades off on Syndra early on, it should be a surety that TL actually gets control over the initial dragons, unless something goes miserably wrong for them. in the early stages of the game. The mid game is going to be the most telling. I feel like that's where TL's team composition is going to be the most explosive and also the most oppressive, because the items that Kalista and Lulu and whatnot, Hecarim skipping jungle item, just going straight into Trinity Force, they come online a lot faster than G2. And there's that small timing window around 3rd and 4th Dragon that should spawn where TL should be favored. That doesn't happen, G2 should almost always walk away with the game.
Well, we'll see whether they can make that one work out for them. I actually feel like as far as well-roundedness is concerned and with game, like the way that you, like win conditions in mind, I feel like TL's composition on paper looks very, very good. But G2 often throws that out the window when it comes to what actually happens in the game. So I'm very interested to find out what their plan is to try and get this composition actually moving and try to avoid what you say is that explosive mid-game, which is going to be very terrifying. I mean, the amount of wombo, it's like ease of execution is also on TL's side, right? Like they just have a horse run in, get really big with a Lulu enchantment, and then things generally work out for them, right? With the hopping mad Kalista and the Syndra. So as far as ease of execution, definitely up there for TL, but G2 can certainly throw some spanners in the works, and there is a lot of skill expression, especially in things like the Echo that we've seen do phenomenal things worldwide. Of course, Knight does come to mind when you mention that champion, and Caps is a superstar himself, so very excited to see how this one is going to go as we get onto the Rift for the first time for the second round robin of the World's group stage. Absolutely beautiful skybox as well, I have to say. We've had some great ones, but I really like this cityscape. It's absolutely stunning. As Jensen putting an orb down with Faker's skin in hand. Of course, Faker's not going to use it. You may as well use it yourself, guys. That's how it works.
Well, as we're taking a look at the runes, it's not going to be the Halo Blades on Echo. It will be the Electrocute. And so we'll see how the trade patterns do unfold. You have Aerie up there in top lane for Impact.
Yeah, I'm going to give you
Predator
a lot more
on
trading
Volibear.
power. No real surprises looking down those keystones, of course. Apart from Mickey going back to his Hail of Blades Tahm Kench. Absolutely love it. Very similar to the Hail of Blades Brahms that we were privy to over here in the LCK. Works very similarly, just means that you can eat faster. And a gentleman like Tahm Kench, who does have a food-related skin, probably loves that. And Mickey using the correct skin as well. This is the Hail of Blades Tahm Kench skin, the Master Chef one. Yep. Perk's going to take half of his health bar and damage. Tactical taking a bit back, but still a great trade for TL. And our eyes are going to be on Tactical. This guy does the majority of his team's damage so far at Worlds, even if he is such a young gentleman on this roster. A lot of it, of course, having to do with Core JJ. And just how good he is as Haymaker comes down. Mickey taking a lot of damage here as there is some biffo towards the bottom side of the map.
Well, definitely a lot of trading going on here. Also, Exhaust versus Ignite is what's currently present. Looks like Mickey and Perks, they're really trying to get this level 2.
As
get it, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very similarly timed as Tactical's going to miss that CS, and Mickey's just going to lick Core JJ a little bit.
A little bit of a tongue work there.
Yeah, it was. I liked it.
And we can see on the jungle, Yanko's already looking to get a little bit aggressive. Ooh, yeah. He's gonna. Ooh.
That is high value.
Okay.
That Storm Strike. Broxah does get the big one though, so not too worried there. As Yankos just going to make sure that this horse is well and truly in the stable.
Yep.
Of his mid lane.
He's protecting that ward.
Yeah, also doesn't have a top side that he can go to, right? So it's not like he can transition out. I actually really love what Yankos is doing, just playing goalie.
Is going to cheater. I think he's, well, he was looking for maybe a cheater recall, but instead, ooh, he's taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, this is getting real dangerous.
Yeah, he really wants to just crash this wave in and then leave. Impact.
Oh my god, it's a flash forward. The flash immediately from Wonder as well, but they're going to trade. That means now both junglers, their ears prickling at this top lane flashless situation. Yep. No one going to die just yet, as Wonder does actually have a decent CS advantage, having shoved that wave all the way forward.
Right, so he gets the reset off with 18 CS, so he only has enough for Darksteel plus the control ward. Going to teleport back into the lane, and now the question becomes is how long can Impact sustain inside of the lane with just the Biscuit and his current HP and mana value? Because then Lulu can get into Chalice if she wants to go that for the first item.
Yep.
Get herself some magic resistance as well as sustain.
Yeah, a lot of these Lulus really like to get towards the Swiftness boots as well, quite early on. As, of course, Noguri debuting this top Lulu here at Worlds demonstrated that one. Definitely a very supportive build for this particular champion, which is going to work out extraordinarily well for the TL composition as they move closer and closer to these team fights. Currently, TL do have a slight gold advantage, but it's absolutely nothing to write home about. As Wonder will be taking the Rift Scuttler here to deny that one away from Broxah. And I feel like since Hecarim came back into the meta, this has happened so much more. People have figured out that you just need to take camps away from the horse, and then he doesn't have nearly the amount of value that he had when he sort of re-debuted here in the jungle. It's just sort of like going back into the playbook, very similar to, you know, Evelynn playstyles and things like that. When she's meta, she's easy to understand, but if you surprise people, then it's sort of hard to get that muscle memory sort of back. Which is why some of these cheesy picks can work out very, very well. Of course, not calling Evelynn cheese. She's extremely strong at the moment. But if you can make people have to readjust how they play the game, it's definitely a good idea. As Brox is going to sneak in towards the top side. Not sure how a hooved animal is able to sneak, but he did manage to do so.
This is interesting because you can see the Impact doesn't really need that much assistance. The only reason for Broxah to ever be doing this is if they anticipated that Jankos would come on this wave. And you can see Wonder, he's threatening a freeze. And this is really problematic because the cannon minion is coming. So this can end up going indefinitely depending on how Impact and Wonder both manage their waves here. Jankos going to move into the brush now. This is really scary because there's not a lot that they can deduce from anything. Impact not even level 6 yet.
Yeah, there's Storm Strike, half the health bar now onto Impact. That looks like they're going for the dive. Great stun comes out, and First Blood's oh so easy for G2 topside.
And that's really bad because no teleport for Impact. This is a nightmare situation for him right now. He's missing so many minions, and he's already CS capped up there in top lane. So Wonder with a fantastic advantage. Also, he got the kill, so his Darksteel getting a little bit of AP.
Ooh, there we go. Added value.
Added value on top.
You really got to look at that. This is why you're the lost salesman.
This is, you know, I mean, the war on Boris, it rages on.
I know. Every single day.
Yeah.
As Mickey and Perks back down to here towards the bottom side. In fact, there are a couple of members extra for G2 as the slows down onto Core JJ. Immediate flash out from Tactical. Ooh. He's down to 2,500 health, but they turn it onto Mickey and grab that kill. Tactical's definitely dead, but he'll be typing worth in all chat, absolutely, after that trade, especially with the amount of resources invested by G2.
Yeah, and Core JJ able to retain both of his summoners as well during this. Jensen, now, as we take a look into mid lane, he has a little bit of an XP advantage, it seems, over Caps. Not super big.
Well, Cap's actually going to go aggressive here as Wonder comes around. Broxah a little bit late to this party and only level 5. As Caps is going to successfully get the flash out of Jensen. This could really make things difficult in the mid lane as Brox is going to try and push the Rift Scuttler away from Wonder. Ooh, okay, looking for a bit of an engage here as Broxah. Didn't expect him to kill him, but he is going to be able to get that smite off. Bit of health back and also the extra money the Rift Scuttler will provide, but an onslaught of shadows now available for the Sylas, which is very frightening.
Yeah, and Sylas is returning to a massive wave up in top lane that Broxah is now going to share the EXP on with Impact. And I'm scratching my head as to how we've arrived at this CS on Broxah. You can see all of his camps are up. And just the pathing that's coming out, overall, a little bit questionable. And Jankos, who's been able to be in multiple places now at the same time, he's also still retaining a slight CS advantage. He's now invading. He's going to steal away some of Brox's camps. And this is a pretty doomsday scenario if you're the Hecarim. You don't want to be this stunted and stifled inside of the jungle because he's such an integral part to their hard engage when it comes into mid-game. But also, because he's been constantly set on the back foot, and because of the stuff that's been happening in mid lane, the neutrality down in bottom, TL hasn't been able to threaten any sort of dragon shenanigans. And so, the game state for them is in a really awkward spot.
Yeah, in fact, no one's really looked at the dragon at all so far this game. G2 has pushed that gold lead back just a little bit with that extra kill. Is now Tactical having to deal with a big old bear running down here. Caps will turn up. Phase dive on top of the Kalista as Fate's Call comes down. Only a single knockup, but CoreJJ an amazing face breaker before he goes down. It is 2 kills for G2, and they have started this one off early as Impact now in trouble. Chain Lash comes through as Wonder's going to flash. For some reason, just exciting stuff. Sometimes you just want to press your buttons.
He doesn't want to get help pixed and then chained with
It was also very close to turret range,
yeah.
So maybe that was an adjustment there. But yeah, help picks certainly a thing that would have been his death. Some exciting top lane stuff though. Okay, Perks caught in the shot just a little bit as Jankos is here. Onslaught of Shadows comes down as Perks is definitely dead. He's going to throw out a volley in some direction, but he flashes away and will survive. Oh no, CoreJJ, will he have enough movement speed from the Q? That's the question. Doesn't have flash, of course, wants to oh, the facebreaker max range! And the Haymaker will secure the kill. CoreJJ saying, well, you're not gonna take it, I will.
Well, that is a very big pickup though, because now Ashe, it's not just that she dies. It's that she's missing a cannon wave that's now going to go into the turret, and Tactical gets all of this XP, all of this solo golden farm, just allocated right into himself. It's a really big thing for TL after what just happened in bot lane.
Yeah.
And now, okay, well, Scuttle Crab going to be leashed over, so more bad news bears.
Yeah, bad news horses. More than anything else, as they are going to try and get some retribution here, moving 3 members up this river. Tactical slightly avoiding the tongue lash there, as the Cloud Drake continues to stay lonely and asleep in his pit. Sproxa will finally take a camp or 2 here on the bottom side. Does have his Wolves and Gromp available. We'll see whether that's going to spell Team Liquid heading towards something like one of these neutral objectives. Probably going to be aiming for utilizing their team fighting strength at about the 15 to 20 minute mark, something like that. The closer to 2 items you are, the better this composition is going to be. As Impact just trying to hold on here. Has been put pretty considerably behind, especially in farm. 15 CS going to be that gap as Silas continues to put on the pressure. This pick working out very, very well as Rift Herald has been started. Shelly just going to be fighting the bear here just a little bit as Tactical finds himself without too many friends towards the bottom side as he's down extraordinarily low, and Perks will pick up that kill. Some great health to eat there from Mickey as Impact had teleported, but way too late, and they're going to lose everything.
Yeah. And just very unfortunate situations constantly popping up every couple of minutes for TL right now. All the small little edges that they do get at some points in bottom just end up falling away pretty quickly again. G2 now, they're going to take the turret plates. They have the Rift Herald. They're going to be able to summon it. It just looks like what's happening this game is that it's pretty much a lane kingdom everywhere. Mid lane, you can say that Sir Jensen is ahead in CS while he's supposed to be, as well as Caps has gone places to make things happen. But the early pressure wasn't there to be able to translate into anything meaningful, and so the Echo just got to coast by entirely for free. And the longer that this game goes on, it's only going to get worse. We're at a 3,000 gold lead. Shirley is about to get a second charge here onto the top tier 2, and things are just looking disastrous because TL, who it's so important that their items came online faster and that they team fight sooner than their opponents and they look for those things, aren't going to be able to do it because G2 is actually hitting their item spikes faster than TL.
Yeah, and this is also like a genius time to make moves like this for G2. It's just before Team Liquid have managed to get to those spikes where they do want to get to some of these team fights around the objectives, and instead trying to put TL as far behind and as far away from that moment as possible, as Perks doesn't quite have the arrow. It's finally up as Wonder's turned up. Oh! There's the onslaught of Shadows, but it's not the one coming from TL, and 2 very swift kills out of G2. This could be the beginning of the end for Team Liquid as Caps not able to find the parallel convergence, but that would have just been the cherry on top.
Well, able to get the ghost at the very least. More turret plates now going to go down here in bottom, and this is a massacre.
Yeah,
that we are absolutely witnessing. I think this needs a mature audience warning. People tune into the stream.
I didn't check out the rating actually beforehand. Maybe we'll need to do some adjustments. You're absolutely right, as Perk's going to come through, try and grab this last turret plate before it falls down in 10 seconds time, and he will do so for 60 gold in the back pocket. He's 3-1-3. Guy has been doing a hell of a lot of stuff around this map, despite that one whoopsie from earlier on. Immediately hijacks the Onslaught of Shadows. Does Wonder. Zach's replay just demonstrating how good G2 are at these early game skirmishes and team fights that they can orchestrate for themselves, because they needed to with this comp. I just love how G2 have managed to navigate how their comp works in this earlier stage.
Yeah, I mean, they're up 5,000 gold exactly at 14.5 minutes. I mean, things are just looking fantastic for them. Everything is just going super well. I wouldn't be too surprised to just see a Magi Soul Stealer, the correct book, actually be picked up by Caps here in just a short moment. Impact is just so far behind inside of this game from where he would ideally like to be.
And also, I mean, the Lulu's not supposed to lose a lane like this, right? Like, Lulu is there to be a bully. She always has been. But this Sylas certainly working out very, very well. It's an okay matchup. Of course, Sylas was picked into Kennen a lot of the time. This is a pick that is pretty good into some of these mages towards the top side. And Wonder is just demonstrating exactly how good at this point in time. As now the red buff. G2 not going to be letting up the pressure at all as the arrow sails by through that pixel brush. The TL have been effectively moved out. Oh, Brox is going to be able to grab that Smite Steal. Facebreaker down onto Caps, interrupted as he tries to go over the wall, but the flash will get him to safety. As the Rend pulled out there by Tactical, and only Mickey X taking a little bit of damage. But G2 can do this. They can afford to add all of this pressure. And now CoreJJ going to get locked up. The Fate's Call has to be invested, and so many R buttons now falling down. Haymaker comes in. It's another good facebreaker from CoreJJ. He's doing the best that he can. Doesn't quite have Haymaker back available, but doesn't need it. As there is another fight here towards the north, as Wonder's at full health and not at too much risk of dying. The health bars of TL looking a little bit worse for wear, as G2 will go for a reset. Yeah,
G2 are going to just get the reset here. They're piling quite a bit of gold. That was really close between the bot lanes there. It almost looked like Caps was actually going to fumble and give over a kill, but he managed to get the ultimate off just in time. Everything's fine. Ocean Dragon's coming up in 1 minute and 20. It means that we are going to have a pretty meaningful dragon.
Yep.
This game, obviously, given that Cloud was first.
Yep, Mountain or Infernal this game. Those of you playing at home. Perk's going to be taking down his Brambleback. As although he got caught out by CoreJJ earlier on, Perk's has been pretty integral to this composition thus far. I absolutely love the 3-item build that he's going for on the Ashe. I think that the damage potential out from the Hurricane, Essence Reaver, and Infinity Edge build from Ashe is just really, really strong once you get to that point. And he is going to be able to reap those benefits quite effectively. Is now just back into farming mode. You mentioned that 5,000 gold lead. Well, that is still there. 30 seconds on this Ocean Drake. G2 in full control at this stage of the game.
Yeah, everything is just going very well for them. You have the resistances coming out that's going to make it really hard for Syndra to be able to really do anything. And when you have opponents that are itemizing magic resist for Syndra, when Merc Treads are incentivized on the enemy team, it not only hurts the Syndra, it also really hurts the Lulu, because she's already going so supportive. She's not really going to be able to add anything other than just pure support. But when her primary carries that she's supposed to be bolstering are not able to really do anything when they're so far behind their opposition, then Lulu just ends up feeling pretty hopeless.
Yeah, you kind of lose any of the upsides. As speaking of which, G2 going to be starting off this Ocean Drake. TL not wanting to give this one away for free. They did manage to get that first one. Wonder getting pushed out just a little bit, but the Drake is going to very cleanly go over to G2. And the arrow not going to connect there onto Tactical, who walks intelligently towards Wonder as Caps is going to close the gap. CoreJJ over with the Hex Flashes. Now Broxer looking to get into that back line. He's by himself though, and he gets put underneath the turret. Oh dear. As that's a decent facebreaker out from CoreJJ, trying to salvage this fight, but you can see in the health bars that it's not going well for Team Liquid. Jensen underneath his turret, but that is not as safe as he's otherwise like it to be. Impact doing a decent job there, but even the Storm ripping him apart as Wonder gets underneath the turret and takes down the Lulu. And now G2 will be able to take down this outer turret in the mid lane. 10-2 in kills. This is getting towards a shellacking.
Oh, this is a massacre in the making right now. G2, they're up almost 8,000 gold. And you have 10 stacks Darkseal on Wonder. So he does recall, he picks up a blasting one, so it's not going to be the Mage Eyes for him just yet. Everyone on the side of G2 is just so far ahead.
Yeah, I have to give it to Wonder though. Being able to choose exactly the right ultimates at a moment's notice, that showstopper, absolutely amazing. I mean, Broxah probably shouldn't have gone that deep.
Oh,
I know Hecarim's love doing it. We've all had one in solo queue, but that was
he had a hot date.
Insult to injury as we're going to have a look.
He can see that set ultimate, the angle is perfect to just superplex him right into the turret.
Yeah,
I have no idea what he was thinking. And then here inside of the replay, Wonder just doing so much. Really good mouse control, just playing at the edges of his screen. That's always nice to see when players are able to do this if they don't just reposition with spacebar. And just managing to rip right onto impact at the very end there. And just look at the level discrepancy on some of the members. It's 1 in support. It was almost 2 in top lane. I guess Impact did just ding 11. Yep. But G2 are in such a commanding position inside of this game right now. Pick up the second Herald, 3 minutes until the Mountain Dragon, and with so many resistances being built on their champions, even just one Mountain Drake, it really does help.
Well, that's going to be in 2.5 minutes time, however, as we tick over the 20-minute mark. This is the moment that Team Liquid's team composition was supposed to be coming online, you know, but G2 have done such a good job at snowballing any advantages that they were able to pick up. And it felt like from about 12 minutes onwards, they were like, oh, well, this is where we're going to start winning the game. And they absolutely did that. Shirley going to pop down in this mid lane to try and eradicate it of the inner turret. And she will do so fantastically well. It is, in fact, her job, of course. Scaps over with the parallel convergence. Not going to be able to find any stuns just yet, as Broxah feeling very squishy at the moment, as this Hecarim does have his Trinity Force, but not much else. As now inner turret being smacked down by Wonder. Perk's going to come through as well, get the last few hit points. And this gold lead is just getting masterfully extended. 8,000 now for G2. And the Baron is wide open. The map is so dark for Liquid right now.
Yeah. Everything is just really hard to play. I mean, it's almost 10K as we approach 22 minutes. And you can see Syndra going Void Staff second. So trying to get a little bit of penetration so that she'll deal more damage, but she has Merc Treads herself. And that's not a super good feeling to have right now inside of this game.
The item difference, I think, can be epitomized by having a look at Tactical versus Perks.
Yeah.
A couple of daggers and a Blade of the Ruined King versus Hurricane, Essence Reaver. A cheeky little Null Magic Mantle, because why not?
And a BF.
BF sword.
Best friend sword.
Yeah, that is... Yeah, that's a I want to leave the game soon sword in this particular one, as that is demonstrating exactly how far ahead they are.
Well, QSS on Tactical.
Okay.
All right, because
well, he's not...
I feel like if he's having to QSS, the game's already over at this point.
Well, I mean, there is a lot of CC coming out of G2, especially having a look at that Ash Arrow, if he is hit by one. And it's going to be a rough time. And no cleanse on the Callista was an interesting choice anyway, but now at least he does have the itemized version. And Core JJ not going to be building Mikaels or anything like that anytime soon. Could theoretically be a third item for Impact, but he's struggling to get towards the second just yet. As G2 will have a Mountain Drake to pick up if they'd like to after this, but looks like this inner turret in the bottom lane is going to be their first port of call. As Broxah taken some poke from Wonder. I say poke, I mean that's a third of his health. As Leandri's has been completed. Boris not welcome over on G2's side by the looks.
Yeah, he's seething.
Yeah,
right now, for sure. He's a little bit upset. He got new inventory in, but we're not seeing it here today.
Well, the arrow is going to majestically sail
Brownie's comment
towards the west. See whether that comes through from the eastern side in a little while. Always wondered whether Runeterra is a sphere. Do you believe in flat Runeterra, or are you...
oh, Runeterra is a globe, yeah.
Okay, there we are.
just so you.
Look, I was just wondering. It might be like Discworld or something like that. Read into that particular part of the lore. As Team Liquid in the Fnatic brush here for a moment, but it looks like a reset is where G2's minds are at. I'll just replenish their wards that they have in their inventory. You can see Mickey X coming out with a full stack of regular wards and a couple of controls, just to try and start establishing some Baron control here at 24 minutes into the game.
And I really like that G2 they're taking the game really slow. They know that with each minute that passes, everything just gets better for them. That's just what ends up happening. And they're moving very slow and steady. Mountain Soul will end the game. There's going to be no chance for Hecarim, Syndra, and Lulu to chew through anything. Kalista even is just going to be hitting a wall, essentially, with all of her auto attacks. And G2 know that's the inevitability, that they can just keep gravitating towards. So unless TL feel like they need a hot date, I imagine that we'll have a Baron dance, and if not, then maybe a fight at the next Dragon.
Yeah, it's going to need multiple miracles on TL's side. One will not do. As we have a look at that gold graph descending towards the 10,000 gold mark, which is just being crested now. As from about 12 minutes, G2 have just been able to choke TL out of the majority of their resources around the map. It has been a very, very good lesson on suffocation of an enemy team and capitalization of power spikes as well here from G2. Very different from the G2 TL series that we saw in the first round robin, to be perfectly honest. It was a little bit more fast and loose in that one. And G2 have come to play here at this stage of the tournament. Jensen down here towards the bottom side hasn't really been amongst it so far this game, still sitting on a few zeros. In Australia, that would get you onto the police, by the way. You got to call that number. As we've got a secret agent for G2 in the form of Yankos 008. Don't remember which one that was. Personally, as Tactical may have overextended, but Super Soaker is not going to quite find the mark.
Well, 10,000 gold lead right now for G2. 2 minutes and 20 seconds till that Mountain Dragon comes up. It looks like Syndra is going to try to get to death cap. Here's that Baron.
Yeah, I don't know whether this is going to be contested. They do have a vision of it. And Broxah can certainly canter pretty quickly. I think he's going to try and play Keeper. Ooh. Arrow's going to connect. That should buy them a fair bit of time, but Broxah very quick, can get over the wall, of course, is Wonder with the blast cone. Impact in trouble. Chainlash will land as Yankos diving on in, but he might have been a little bit overextended as he is going to be taken down very quickly. Wild Growth onto Core JJ to keep him alive, but there is the hijacked onslaught in shadows, and I feel like the wallets are too heavy on the side of G2. 2 kills already, make it a double for Perkz now as Tactical is doing the best he can, but it is not going to quite be enough. Triple kill for Perkz, that's the ace, and this should be the game for G2.
This is definitely going to be the game. I think the death timers are very high, and with these characters being the ones that are remaining, I think it's almost it's probably a surety that this game could definitely end. But G2 actually looking like they might just go for double inhibitor. They're not gonna try to end, or
sometimes you gotta play it safe by the water. Yes, as they are going to let Team Liquid respawn. Will be the Baron's still available, of course. This was a peel away, so the old take a couple of inhibitors, go back to a Baron, and then finish the game could be their option.
So Core JJ starts this off with a fantastic facebreaker into a haymaker. They get a kill onto Yankos pretty early, and then, like you were saying, Atlas, the wallets are just way too big. G2 so far ahead in gold and everything else, and Perkz gets the triple kill for himself. So at the end of it all, we're still inside of this game, but that was a glimpse of how the team fight looks right now. It's only going to get worse, and if Yankos was able to live longer, more problems would end up arising. He looks like he's building towards Locket of the Iron Solari.
Yep.
So Boris definitely fuming.
Yeah, he's upset. As Cap's going to turn up, Tactical dancing around, but able to get a lot of damage there onto Caps. The arrow is going to miss. There's the Fate's Calls, Facebreaker onto just one, but you can see Perkz is just melting Core JJ right now. It is going to be Tactical taken down at the beginning, and that is disastrous. Scatter the Weak for a couple of stuns, but the follow-up just isn't there unless you're talking about G2. Impact caught out of position. He'll go down, he'll sacrifice himself for the good of Broxer and Jensen, but I don't know whether it's going to quite be enough as those chains very, very close. Caps just says, nah, flashing on you, mate. And he is going to be able to take down the Syndra. Only Broxer alive as G2 are going to push through for the final time.
Well, it does look like G2 are going to clap back in the game here. And from start to finish, they were just in total control of the game.
Yeah.
Pretty much all of the laning phases inside of the jungle. Biancos was just... He was running a bit of a clinic on Broxer and just the ability to influence more of the lane.